Hello there. Good evening, everyone. This is Dari on WorldStreams Radio. Thank you to our listeners from all around the world for joining us tonight. To learn more about WorldStreams Radio, visit our website, worldstreams.org. You can also find us now on Facebook at facebook.com/WorldStreams. Our guest tonight is legendary jazz icon Ron Carter. With well over 2,000 albums to his credit, Ron Carter may be the world's most recorded jazz bassist. He is easily among the most respected and original. In his 45-year career, he has performed with a range of artists from Miles Davis to Eric Dolphy, Lena Horne, James Brown, and Bill Evans, just to name a few. In addition to performing, composing, and arranging, Ron also lectures and teaches, and he's on the board of directors of the Harlem Jazz Center in New York. Hello, Saeed. Hello and welcome, Ron. It's an honor and pleasure to have you here.
And thanks for the invitation. Happy to be with you.
Hello, Dari. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and good evening to you, Ron Carter. You just returned from Japan. How was your tour?
It was very successful. I was there for 12 days. We did 8 concerts with a trio of Louis Nash and my favorite Japanese guitar player, Takashi Yamaguchi. We do a tour once a year for about 8 concerts around this time of year, and they're always a pleasant experience for me.
What can you tell us about your experience with the Japanese audiences? Do they interact with you?
Well, their response is a little more muted than the United States, but their presence is certainly well documented, and their knowledge and history awareness of the music is legendary, and I certainly enjoy playing with them, for them.
Very much it's because of their polite way of doing things. They would clap politely and so forth. But still, how long have you been going to Japan?
Since 1964, probably.
Oh, wow, that is definitely what 46 years every year. That's wonderful. And this year you've done quite a few tours, right?
Yes, I just came back from there, and I did a tour in March in Japan with a trio of Russell Malone and Mulgrew Miller, and I just came back did a tour, 2 tours this summer with my quartet of Peyton Crossley on drums, Rolando Morales Matos on percussion, and Irene Rosnes on piano. We had a great time.
With over 2,000 pieces at least under your wing, do you set up what kind of music you play for a given audience in a given country?
Well, when each of the 2 bands goes out, I plan a program that we try to play for the duration of the tour. For example, I have a story in my head, and I sit down and plan this story, and I try to have songs to match the story I'm trying to tell, and I think it's productive for the band to know what's coming at them every night, so I don't to do a different set every night or a different set of tunes. I think it's just too awkward to do that, and I want the guys to know what's coming so they aren't stunned by the order of the material.
Yeah, what kind of stories do you set up? Do you have like a theme, right?
Oh yeah. It depends on the day I'm planning the program, the events that are around me during the course of the day, and that's the kind of program we're stuck with for the tour.
And that's very much the life of an artist. You've started early on as you learned to play the cello first, right? Tell
Yes.
us about that experience.
Well, it's a wonderful one, and I wish I could go back and do it again. I started when I was 10 or 11 and played till I was 18, and then switched to bass my senior year in high school, and been trying to play the bass since then.
Was there any reason why you switched to bass?
Well, I thought that I wasn't getting a fair chance at making the little concerts and opportunities that were given out to the non-African American players in the orchestra, and as it turned out, the bass player who was doing these engagements was graduating January of 1955, and it seemed to me that if they needed a bass player, if there was only one, and if I was the only one, they would have to hire me. That's how it started.
Were you actually in a position to get to play with a major orchestra, and that, if I could call it racial stereotyping, prevented you from that? We're talking about the 50s, right?
Yeah, well, I think that not a lot has changed. If you look at the photographs that were taken over a 10-year period of time, say 1950, 1960, up through 2010, I think you'll find the racial proportions of the orchestra hasn't been a dramatic change. They may have a few more female players in the orchestra and maybe 1 or 2 African Americans or non-Europeans in the orchestra, but by and large, the proportion of minorities in the orchestras hasn't changed. And when I was coming along, I was told that the orchestra that I was interested in, hiring me by the conductor, that the board of directors were not at that time ready to hire a talented young African American musician.
Is there an artistic way of explaining this in terms of classical music being very somewhat rigid? It moves slowly. It depends on tradition, as opposed to jazz that is always bringing in new life, new genres of the music, new fusion. Could that be explained as the reason, or?
Well, I don't know. If you ask me to explain the classical world's mindset for limiting the option of having wonderful players who happen to be African American or minorities, women as well, I think I can't respond to that because that's their mindset. I just know that they're missing the chance to have wonderful talent as